Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special Women's History Month edition of Mayavana's Virtual Hair Club. I'm your host, Cole Woods, Strategic Growth and Partnership Consultant to Beauty Tech founders and innovators. And tonight, we have an absolutely incredible lineup of visionary Black women who are making history right now in the beauty tech space. Before we dive in, let me give you a quick background on why we're here tonight. While the beauty industry has always been a space where women of color have been innovators and trendsetters, the technology side has historically lacked diversity. The amazing founders joining us tonight are changing that narrative, creating technological solutions that address real needs, particularly for women of color, while blazing trails in an industry where they've often been the first or only in the room. Something I've observed throughout history is that when Black women create solutions to serve our communities, those innovations ultimately serve the masses. Our products and innovations, much like in skincare, are often tested to work across a full range of different types, textures, and needs. The founders you'll meet tonight embody this principle. They've identified gaps in beauty tech through their own experiences, but their solutions are revolutionizing the industry for everyone. Let's meet our incredible panelists. I'll introduce each of them, and then they'll have a moment to share their thoughts. First, we have Candace Mitchell, founder and CEO of Mayavana. Candace is a computer scientist who has revolutionized the hair care industry with AI-powered hair analysis technology. Her company uses machine learning algorithms to analyze hair samples and provide personalized product recommendations and hair care regimens. A Georgia Tech graduate, Candace has been recognized by Forbes, Marie Claire, and Inc. as one of the top women entrepreneurs to watch in tech. Unfortunately, Candace is unable to make it today since she is on her way back from the launch of Mayavana's first retail location in Uganda. She wishes everyone the best and wants us to take this time to focus on all of our amazing founder stories. Next is Dawn Myers, the innovative founder behind Ritualist and creator of The Mint. Dawn has revolutionized hair care with her handheld device that detangles and distributes heated conditioners and gels throughout the user's strands. Despite being a lawyer by training with no prior beauty, tech, or engineering experience, Dawn successfully pitched on Shark Tank and secured a six-figure investment deal to grow her business. Her journey demonstrates how determination and identifying an unmet need can lead to breakthrough innovations, even when coming from outside traditional tech and beauty backgrounds. Hi, Dawn.
Hi, Cole. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Of course. So, if I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
Wanted us to say a couple of words, but
Yeah.
just really quickly, listen, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think we tend to think of starting businesses and creating new things as something that's reserved for engineers or a select few, but it's not. I think what my journey shows most poignantly is that all of us have the opportunity to spot opportunities and problems worth solving in our own backyards and provide those solutions to people who we care about.
Yes, absolutely. Very well said. And so we're also joined by Khadija Kanate, founder of Hair Robotics and creator of Chihuahua. Khadija has brought together her expertise in mechanical engineering and her passion for protective styling to create groundbreaking robotic braiding technology. Her computer vision powered systems are revolutionizing how protective styles are created, making consistent, customized braiding styles more accessible while reducing strain on stylists' hands and wrists. Hi, Khadija.
Hello, Kale. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Is there a few things you want to tell the people about what hair robotics has going on right now?
Yeah, so Airborne exists because of us, Black women, and also for us to make our life better. And this idea came upon me because I spend too much time getting my hair braided every 6 weeks, and I have two beautiful daughters that I get to braid all the time. So I decided to change that narrative, and that's how airboardings got born.
And we appreciate you for it.
Thank you.
I'm also excited to welcome Shaska French Jackson, creator of the revolutionary Shaska Styler. Coming from an untraditional background as a former TV reporter, Shaska was inspired by her sister, a founder and nail industry disruptor. Shaska's 3-in-1 styling tool was born from her own personal frustrations and experiences, designed specifically to work effectively on even the curliest and coarsest of hair textures, addressing a significant gap in the market. Unlike competitors that often fail to serve diverse hair types, Shaska's engineering innovation brings professional quality styling capabilities to communities that have been historically overlooked by mainstream beauty tech. Hello, Shaska.
Hello, Cole. It's so great to be here. I'm fangirling. I'm seeing like all those great inspiration, at least to me. I've been following these women. I'm excited to be here and to talk about our journey because for me, it's been 10 years now. And even though you see some of the new tools coming out on the market, this is something that I have been working on before. I mean, it's a whole story. I can't wait to tell you, but yeah, I'm excited to be here.
And we're looking forward to hearing it. And last but certainly not least, we have Ali Chahe, founder of Baddies in Tech. Ali has created more than just a community. She built a comprehensive ecosystem that supports women of color in technical roles across the beauty industry and beyond. Through her digital platform, mentorship programs, and educational resources, she's actively working to increase representation and create new pathways for the next generation of beauty tech innovators. Hi, Ali.
Hi, Cole. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. No, I think that there's such a big intersection and opportunity between beauty and tech. And, women of color in the tech industry and beyond are multifaceted. We care about our lifestyles, we care about beauty, we care about wellness. And so Baddies in Tech really is about bringing your full self to the tech industry. And so we want, our community to be able to access opportunities in beauty, in media, in all other areas that tech touches. And I think that this is so well exemplified by everyone else that we have here that have combined beauty and technology for us by us. So I'm super excited to be here and just kind of talk about it from the perspective of the consumer too.
Yes, definitely. Thank you all for those insights. I'm already inspired. And I know our audience is too. So let's dive into our first segment, breaking barriers in beauty tech. Our first topic focuses on the unique landscape you all navigate as Black women in beauty tech. The key question is, what unique challenges and opportunities exist for Black women founders in the beauty technology space? So, Ali, with your work in Baddies in Tech, I'd love to start with you to give us some historical context on women of color in the tech space.
Yeah. So it's interesting because back in the day when like computing first came about, women were actually at the forefront of the space. So because like tech was first seen, like computing and tech was first seen as like kind of like clerical work, things that, women should be doing, we were actually more represented back then, in like the 80s. And so that was the peak of, women and women of color being in the tech space. There were about 37% of like computing was women. And that has since dropped so far down. I think for women of color now it's at 5%. And so it's definitely been a drastic shift. And that was really because, once like personal computers started coming about, it was being marketed to boys and men. Like, a personal computer is for a guy. And so that started shifting the perspective of women in computing and women in tech. And that's what really contributed to the lack of representation that we see today. And so, with Baddies in Tech, it really is about the marketing of tech, right? It's like we have this perception of tech as, a guy in a hoodie in a dark room, like coding away for hours, or, a guy in a white tech bro suit. And so Baddies in Tech really, I think from the name to the rest of the brand being pink and girly, like it really is like shifting that marketing all the way on its head and saying that, women are welcome here, women are technologists, and that we can be technologists without changing who we are and what we're interested in. And again, I think that's why like kind of really, bringing beauty to the forefront of technology makes so much sense, because we care about these things whether we're in technology or not. And so kind of like putting beauty at the forefront of tech, I think is so important for us as women of color, to really find that representation.
Wow. Amen. Thank you for that foundation.
Yeah. Thanks for the question. It was great.
Yeah. So I want to talk a bit about the assessment of the current beauty tech landscape for Black women founders. So what we know is the beauty tech landscape for Black women founders is both ripe with opportunity and riddled with challenges. On one hand, we're seeing an exciting wave of innovation. Black women are at the forefront of AI-driven hair analysis, inclusive shade matching technology, and personalized beauty experiences. There's no shortage of brilliant ideas and impactful solutions that are being developed, as seen here on our panel today. However, the challenges remain stark. Accessing funding continues to be the biggest hurdle. Despite Black women being one of the most entrepreneurial demographics, we still receive less than 1% of venture capital funding. This makes it incredibly difficult to scale, invest in R&D, and compete with legacy beauty brands that have been seemingly unlimited resources. Dawn, your journey to funding Ritualist is noteworthy. Can you speak to the funding and resource access challenges or opportunities you've experienced, especially as someone coming from a legal background rather than tech?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been really tough, and it's only going to get tougher in this environment. Before I was able to get venture funding, I had to sell literally all of my assets. I sold my multi-unit revenue producing home because I understood that there was a real opportunity here and that no one was going to fund it. I had to at least get the ball rolling, get us to MVP, do a lot of the engineering on my own before and get some traction before investors would ever put their hands on it. Meanwhile, the kind of beauty tech space, right? Tech-enabled hardware in the beauty space, whether we're talking about Black women led or majority led, is very small. It's very insular. So at this point, I've done either the programs or the accelerators or otherwise have come across a lot, maybe not all, but a lot of the folks who operate in this space. And these guys are getting exponentially more funding earlier on. Khadidia's, company is really interesting because there's a company very similar to hers, Loomlash, that's in the robotic space for eyelashes. That's much scarier and much riskier. And Khadidia's solution is much simpler and much more streamlined, and there's an established market for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't talked to Khadidi about her funding journey, but I'm guessing that she didn't get the $20 million that the founder of Loomlash has, right? So there's a massive disparity. And in that, there are challenges, there are also opportunities. The challenges are we have to figure out how to operate more leanly. The challenges are we have to come to the table with an exorbitant amount of sophistication and know-how. But conversely, that also puts us in a position where we have a leg up on the 95% of founders whose companies are failing every year, right? Because it's harder for us, because we have to, because there's so little margin for error, right? We're in a position where, yes, it's harder, but we're able to kind of march to the beat of our own drums, march to our own timing, as opposed to that venture J-curve timing, which expects us to get to $10 million within a couple of years of operation. And we're able to maybe move a little bit slower, but also move with intention and with the sophistication that gets us the win in the long run. In the long run, I believe that these obstacles can set us up to win.
Mm-hmm. Now, Shaska and Khadija, you both work in the hardware side, which adds another layer of complexity, like Dawn mentioned. Could you both share your perspectives on the technical innovation challenges specific to hardware development, especially when creating products for underserved hair types?
I don't know. Do you want me to take it first, Khadijah?
Yeah,
Or do you?
I can come up.
Okay. The first thing that I would like to say is you have to make sure that when someone tells you that it's impossible, that you don't listen. You could get 10 people who will swear that they're experts and it can't be done. And then you run into one person and they say so simply, yes, I can do that. And you're like, wait, what? And you don't even believe them. You're just waiting for that moment when the manufacturer called and said, oh, just kidding, I can't. But what happened with me is I've had several prototypes made. My first one, I wish I had thought of giving you the picture. It was awful. It was horrible. I went to get, I don't know how much. I see you guys smiling. You guys can relate. But I remember going to get a CAD drawing, which I didn't even know what that was at the time, giving it to these people who can take your vision and basically translate it into an image that an engineer can understand, and then you can take it to a manufacturer and then you get it made. Well, sometimes the things that you think of can be like your biggest hurdle that you don't think of. That's what I meant to say. I did not know, for me, inventing the 3-in-1 dryer straightener, that fans had to be a certain size. They did not exist. There were no fans small enough to fit inside a flat iron head. Oh, you're kidding me. So where can I get these fans made? Now you have to go back and figure out how to do this with fans that already exist, because a lot of times these people, that once they've created something, it's very hard to get them to shift into thinking they can change it. It's amazing. Like my sister, you had mentioned her earlier, and she created the aquarium nail tip. And you would think that, a nail, an artificial nail ought to be like the easiest thing they can create. And she was told for years and years and years it was impossible to make this one piece to close it. They said it was impossible. And one man literally looked at her and said, please don't bring this back to me. And so it's amazing. If you press and you press and you press, somebody knows how to do it. And somebody's going to figure it out. They're going to partner with you. They're going to figure it out. And fortunately for me, there was a man chasing me on LinkedIn for years, and I just kept rolling my eyes. I was like, oh my God, here he is again. And I just said, okay, I have no choice but to try you. He happens to be in Hong Kong, and he did it. He was telling the truth. So don't discount anybody. Khadijah, I don't know what your experience has been.
Yeah, to echo to all that you said. So for me, some of the biggest challenges have been finding like engineers. I'm an engineer myself, but we work collaboratively with other engineers and finding people to build a prototype who also understand how braiding is done is really challenging. Like it's really challenging to know people, to find just like Ali was saying, now engineering is very like is not many, there are not many girls, black girls in the space. So to find a roboticist that can translate air braiding into the CAD drawing or just to prototype, it's really challenging. So many times what I've done, I've taken my team of engineers to the hair salon, and the best ideas have come from the hairstylists. So so our partners are the hairstylists, our designers are the hairstylists. They tell us, no way, this is not going to work. They send us back so many times. But for me in my company, like all the engineers have to start with going to the hair salon, sit down there, feel the pain of getting braids done. Most of them don't feel the pain because they they don't have like the long hair or like the curly hair just like us, but they have to see it. They have to see, and also I just can't emphasize how much we need to develop the tools, the skills within our community. So I really appreciate what you're doing with Paddy and Tech Ali. We need to encourage more black girls, brown girls to go into tech so that we find solution for our own problems. That's really, really important. And also, as Shaska was saying, we need partners. We have to open the door for others also to help us. So at Aerobotics, we welcome everyone. We have had successful engineers from all backgrounds, but they have to go through the hairstylist and get advice by the hairstylist, feel the pain of the black women getting their hair braided, sitting there for 10 hours, and then they will come up with new ideas.
Got to develop that empathy first.
Absolutely.
If I can piggyback on that, Khadijah, first of all, I apologize. I was completely mispronouncing your name.
Totally fine. Khadijah.
I thought I was saying it wrong after you said it. I was like, wait, is
Khadijah.
And also, my story is very similar. And I think, it's really important for people to understand how different it is for us to develop products versus other people. When we were developing, I would sit on wash days. I would sit on a Zoom with all of my male engineers. And I'd have to, when you do wash day, you're doing it kind of like in a towel, and you have to show them the reel and show them kind of how it's. So my hair is wet, no makeup, I'm just a mess. And I'm showing them, this is what I mean when I say raking through my hair. And this is what it looks like right? Like I'm showing them all the pieces. And we had to develop these testing modules to, for example, get information. The data isn't out there for us, right? So the data around how much time it takes on average for one hairstylist to do one braid is not out there. And you need that data in order to develop products and improve upon the status quo. So Absolutely. You have to go out, right? So you got to go out and perform the tests, and you have to show them, you have to send out testing kits to a bunch of customers and say, hey, I need you to show me, to measure how many sections of hair you're styling every wash day. And I need you to use this timer and time how long it's taking you to get through your hair. And I need you to weigh how much product you're using, because the data isn't out there. So we have to go out and get the data. And then we've got to do the extra work of going through all these hoops to show our engineers what the actual problem is, because they don't have the kind of background and the cultural familiarity. So listen, everything's a lot harder for us, but one of the unique things I think of being in the space is you don't leave the space without becoming a little bit of an engineer yourself, without understanding how to manage engineering teams and how to manage manufacturing teams, because if you aren't completely hands-on, it is going to be done incorrectly.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, you just pretty much encapsulated what the next question was for the group discussion, which was what's the most significant barrier that still needs to be addressed for Black women in beauty tech? And Khadija, you hit the nail on the head earlier when you said it's the education piece. It's the piece that Ali is currently bringing in with Baddies in Tech and showing the opportunities that are out there.
Yeah, we need engineers. We need engineers who understand our pain points. Mm-hmm. We need to elevate all our little girls to be creative and to they are already creative, but to find solutions to our own problems. So we need more engineers in our fields. More Black engineers, more, and also embrace other people also to help us.
Mm-hmm. This actually all speaks to my own theory that I have about how during the pandemic, we saw a massive wave of more Black and brown women and men getting into the tech space. And so from that, inevitably, we're going to end up having more innovations and technology that's created for us and by us with that incoming wave, and with tech becoming more prevalent in education, with STEM education. I think one thing we can all agree on is that it's only up from here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree with that. And I think that a big piece of that is making sure that these women and these men who entered the tech industry, during the pandemic stay. I think it's one thing to get into tech, and it's another thing to stay and grow and get into leadership and, really remain within the space. There's a statistic by Accenture that 50% of women of color who enter tech leave by the age of 30. And so it really also is about making sure that we plug up that leaky pipeline and make sure that women of color stay in the space. And we're seeing a little bit of that, right? I remember when I first started Baddies in Tech, a lot of the community members were, junior level and just getting into tech. And now, when I talk to sponsors and I'm talking to partners, our biggest demographic is mid to senior level women. And it's the same people who joined years ago that have progressed and grown their careers. And it's because they have the support, they have the community, they have the mentorship. And so it really is all about making sure that they have a community and they can see themselves in leadership positions, and they have role models to look up to as they're continuing to grow their careers and climb that ladder.
Amazing. These are all very powerful insights. Before we move on to our next segment, I want to highlight something that came through clearly in this conversation. The challenges you've all faced, have often become catalysts for your most innovative solutions. Now, let's talk about those innovations more specifically. In this segment, I want to focus on your technological innovations themselves. The key question here is, how are your technological innovations addressing the unmet needs in the beauty space? Now, for Mayavana, since Candace is not here, I'll speak on that a bit. But to give you a bit more context about how that technology works, Mayavana uses AI-driven hair analysis to provide hyper-personalized hair care solutions, eliminating the guesswork in finding the right products. Their hair AI technology analyzes hair texture, porosity, and overall health, creating a unique hair ID profile for each user. And based on this, we deliver custom product recommendations, helping consumers, salons, and retailers make more informed choices. For salons, they offer a hair scope consultation tool and a salon dashboard to track client hair history and optimize treatments. For retailers, they enhance the shopping experience by driving data-backed product recommendations, increasing customer retention and order value. But beyond the products, Myavana empowers users with science-backed hair education, bridging the gap between beauty, tech, and hair health. Their mission is to make personalized, expert-driven hair care accessible to all. So, Dawn, the Mint is solving a very specific problem around product distribution. Share more about the technology behind it and how you developed it despite not having a traditional tech background, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. So basically, what we did with the Mint, our featured product, is we employed this pod system. So we have these cool little pods. We call them, they're kind of like Keurig K-cups for the textured hair care space. You fill this pod with your favorite product, your gel, your cream, whatever it is. Then this tool heats up your product to the perfect gentle warmth kind of heat point so that you're getting really great penetration. You're getting faster detangling. You're getting really great moisturizing. You're getting decrease. What we do when we employ gentle warming is we are lowering the amount of friction necessary for detangling, right? So if we're lowering the amount of friction, we're also lowering things like breakage and excess shedding, right? You can't change how much your hair is shedding. If you're in a shedding cycle, then that hair is going to shed. But we can control for excess shedding that's above and beyond what you would kind of naturally shed. So with this tool, we're doing several things. We're saving our customers time. We are making this process faster. We're making it portable, right? Everything you need for your wash day is right here. Matter of fact, if you want to get fancy, everything you need is right here. So you can pop this into your purse or into your luggage, and you can travel and not have to kind of worry about transporting all of your wash day accoutrement. You can, if you've got kids, right? Khadijah was talking about having 2 girls. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of work just taking care of our own hair. It's even more work taking care of your dependents' hair. So we make it easier for moms. We make it easier for working women. We make it easier for women who want to travel to be able to embrace your natural hair while you're doing your life.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yes, please. I wish I could insert a round of applause.
Congrats, Dawn.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And to answer your question, Cole, about kind of how I developed it, I mean, this is like your quintessential founder problem situation, problem solution nexus. I had a problem. I was struggling. I like to work out. I was working a really hectic corporate job. I was dating, right? So I've got a lot of stuff that I'm trying to schedule my hair around, right? So you go for that workout, for example, your hair sweat out, and now you got to redo it before you go into that meeting the next morning. And I just didn't have the time to spend 3 hours redoing my hair every time I had some kind of event. So I sketched out an idea, and I went to the kind of Ace Hardware the next day, and I went to the beauty supply store, and I bought up a bunch of combs and brushes and all kinds of beauty things. I didn't quite know what I was building yet. And then I went to the Ace Hardware and bought a bunch of soldering irons and hinges and all kinds of things. And I made a very ugly primordial prototype. And instead of having this pod, right, it was a paddle brush that had the back cut out of it. And it was a little door where you could put your own products. Then you put it in the microwave to heat it up.
Oh,
and then
my.
So like this is a long way from where we started, but this is what I mean when I say anybody can do this, right? Like we are Black women in particular. We are ingenious at finding ways to fill holes and rigging things to meet our needs. And that's exactly what we did here, just with a few extra dollars and a little bit extra time.
Absolutely. So Khadijah, robotics in hair care is truly groundbreaking. Can you tell us more about how your technology works and the specific needs it addresses in the protective styling space?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so aerobotics, we are building Chiwara. I call it Chiwara. Chiwara stands for uh, labor excellence. It's an award actually that is given to people who labor the fastest and who are the best laborer from Mali. Mali is where I was born and raised. And so Chiwara means like labor excellence. Just take that. For air robotics, we are building. So Chiwara for air stylists is also the same thing. We are we are giving the tools to the air stylists who are the best and the fastest. And as we said earlier, and as Dawn mentioned it, most of the time, our most creative ideas come from our frustrations. So me being a mom to two girls and a boy too, but being a mom and I got my hair braided like every 6 weeks. I just don't have the time. I work full time. I'm full time mom. I am a student. I'm doing my MBA right now, and so it's just. And I'm a wife also. So it's kind of, how do you manage to do all of this and also have to take like a full day off to go to an hair salon, find a babysitter to take care of your child, and all those problems. So there has to be a better way to get my hair braided so that I can go to my job and I can do everything. And by the way, hair braiding has existed for more than 5,000 years. So it's known by everyone that it's a very versatile, it's very easy, the hair protective style.
Mm-hmm.
So I started with that. And to me, being an engineer and also being, I studied math and computer science in France. So, and robotics has always been something I'm passionate about. So like why we don't have a robot that can help hair stylists work faster. So in my job at the Lawrence Berkeley Lab, I work all the time on optimizing workflows. So air braiding robot will also help optimize the braiding workflow. So that's how I came about with this idea. So with Chiwara, our goal is really to take that 8 or 10 hours braiding time down to 1 or maximum 2.
Wow.
So that's what we are working on. So it's really the first value proposition is the time saving. We cut the braiding time down. The second is we make very consistent braids. So that's also one of the beauty of robotics is like you tell the robot to do something, it does the same all the time. So consistency and also painless. So that's our third proposition is like we can control the tension that you apply to the scalp so that there is no, people complain a lot, like people have air breakage because of the tension you apply. But with our device, we can control the tension applied all along. So those are the main goals for Chiwara. And by the way, just a little plug-in, we are looking for hairstylists who will love to be a partner with us in design and start their Chiwara certification. So you can join our website and we can chat with you, and I will bring Chiwara to your hair salon and you give us feedback. So we are continuing. So that's why I'm not showing the picture of Chiwara just yet. But please reach out and we can collaborate with you, and I will take into account all your feedback.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing all.
So much for all. I'm really a fan of what you're doing.
I really love what you said about how in your full-time job, you do workflow optimization, and the way that you are optimizing with robots really speaks to the way that you have transferable skills that at the time you don't really know how they're going to work into your ultimate vision. And it speaks to those of you that have the non-traditional tech backgrounds. Like, can you speak a little bit more to those transferable skills that now serve you today that you didn't really expect at the time? I guess I'll start with Shaska.
Okay.
Oh, that's for me. Okay, well, my background is in television production.
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't know that when you produce a news show, like, say, for example, I did the morning show, you come in very early, you're already exhausted, and you have to literally look at the computer and say, I have to fill an hour with content. What am I going to fill it with? And so that's very stressful to have to deal with, number one. And so I also had a newborn baby. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't do this career. And like Khadijah mentioned, wife, baby, what am I going to do with this hair? I'm sick of my hair. I was so sick of my hair, I didn't know what to do. And I can't sit here and say I was so strategic and I thought about this. What happened was I went to sleep and I had a dream and I saw it in a dream. And I said, oh my God, that would change my life. Does that exist? And I Googled, because I was going to buy it. I didn't care what the review said. I would try it if it existed. It did not exist. So I said, well, I'm going to make this. You know what? That's a lie. My sister said, you're going to make this. And what she did was she went and she got a hair dryer and just a flat iron that wasn't plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
And we took it was a chi, and we took a section of hair and then we put it, on the wet, portion and put the hair dryer up against it. And we did like that. And it was just silky. And we were like, oh my God, we have something. So we decided to see if anything like it had been patented, because just because it's not on the market doesn't mean that somebody hasn't had the idea before. And of course, there were people who had different iterations of it. When you talk about meeting mentors, they can come from the strangest places, because the CEO of InStyler, he has a patent on what I was trying to do. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to be InStyler? This man, his name is Dave Richmond, by the way. I said, he created the best-selling hair tool of all time. How am I going to do this? So a lot of times, a good place, I don't know if you guys go to conventions. Like, we have been going to the Cosmoprof since 2009. Here it is, 2015. And I'm having this idea. So I always, look out for conventions. Those are the best places to meet people. And it's something about when they see you face to face, that connection, that bond is formed. And I went to an ERA convention in Las Vegas. And it's the Electronic Retailing Association. And we had an opportunity to pitch to the pros, like people that you see on HSN, QVC. I didn't even have a prototype. I went with a picture, just a picture. And I told my story and I said, I was a working mom. I'm tired. It took me like 2 to 3 hours to do my hair. And I said, I can't take it anymore. And this is what I believe is the solution. And InStyler happened to be in the audience. And I met the woman that was there representing InStyler. And she told me, she said, I called it the Better Styler. First thing she did was she scared me, because she said, you might want to change that name. And I'm like, what? Like, she said, yeah, you might be a little bit too close to InStyler. And she said, you would be amazed how people will go without water before they'll let their hair look crazy. She said in countries where they're poor, they will buy the InStyler products. And she said, and if you think about it, she said, just in Brazil or Africa, she said, if you made $1 with us off of every tool sold, she said, can you imagine how much money you would make? So, like I said before, he had a patent. And then she said, you got to beat the patent, though. So I got together, like Don was saying, and you start sketching and you like, okay, what did he do and what can I do differently? This is when the strategic thinking started to flow. And I'm like, okay, his has suction. I don't want to do that. I want the fan in the head. Nobody's done that. You just start thinking. Then I thought of a car wash. And you know how when you go through the drying portion and all those little concentrators are blowing the hair away? I said, I'll put a plate in there with concentrators that direct the airflow to the strands and straighten and smooth it out. Okay. I'm taking too long, so I'm just gonna cut this off really, so I can allow somebody else to speak. But what ended up happening was that we did get a utility patent. I have a design patent, and I decided to do Kickstarter. Guess who called me? Dave Richmond from InStyler. And then somebody from Conair called. And then I started getting calls just from Kickstarter. He said, I want first shot at the deal.
Good.
And I agreed.
Good.
And signed a licensing agreement. Things happened with COVID. Oh my God, let's not even go there. He has been with me every step of the way. I have had help from this man. He told me, he said, I will consult you and I will not charge you anything. And he helped me design this tool. He has never charged me anything. He would be sitting on this panel right now giving insight. And so you just never know, like, who would have thought the man who had a patent on it would be the one that would help me birth this thing. So, this is the first one. I don't know if you guys can see this.
It's beautiful.
But what we did was, because all of these other companies that I had originally approached came out with their own versions, we decided, Dave said, don't freak out. This is great. They are saying that your tech is worth $500. Mm-hmm. And he said, and we're going to look at what they've done and we're going to improve on it. And that's what we did. We included, like, for example, I'll show you here. It has a comb that you can remove. And, for people who like to chase their, styling with a comb. Here's the special plate. I don't know if you guys can see, but there's the plate that I created where the air will flow. The other thing, all of these companies did not consider, in my opinion, women of color when they created their versions. I have tested every single one of them. And if you want your hair straight, don't buy them. You have just wasted your money. They did not cater to the people who most likely would benefit from it the most. If your hair is already straight, what do you really need it for? And so we improved upon everything. Theirs are really big. This is a lot smaller. This is not much bigger than it has a wider plate, but it's the size of a flat iron, seriously. And I can't believe that even ended up working in my favor. So I just want to say that, things that can look like a setback can be a set up, and they can't compete with what I've done.
Okay. Okay. Well, before we end this segment, Allie, I want to get to you because I want to talk about how your platform is building community through technology. So how does your technical approach differ when building spaces specifically for women of color in tech?
Yeah, I think that it's about bringing safe spaces to technology. So, it's really about making the space inclusive and safe and representative. One of the things that we do, for example, we have our annual conference, which is what you showed pictures of earlier. And this past year's conference, we made sure that we included experiences that women of color would love, that they would relate to, that would make them feel seen and included within the tech space. And so, yes, we had technical workshops where, women were building AI chatbots and like learning different skills. And we had panels that we were talking about career development. But then we also had like an expo area where we had activations. We had a beauty bar where, attendees could come and get their edges touched up. They could get their eyebrows done. We had massages. We had manicures. Like we made sure we included experiences that made them feel like they were at home within a tech conference. And a lot of the times, women attend conferences and it's not representative of them. They're seeing, people that don't look like them. They're experiencing things that they don't relate to. And so we wanted to be very intentional about that. And, on the post-event feedback, a lot of the feedback was about the fact that they loved, being able to, they've never been to a conference where they could get massages, they could get their nails done, they could get their edges touched up. And that was like a memorable aspect for them that will keep them coming back. And we also had Mayavana there, and they could get their hair scanned and get their hair AI and hair ID. And so, I think it's really about making sure that intersection of tech and beauty and lifestyle and wellness is represented, and that, they feel like the things that they care about outside of their careers, outside of technology itself, like the hard skills, can be combined and can be at the forefront of, them being a part of this space.
Amazing. The breadth of innovation represented here is remarkable. From AI to robotics to community platforms. What's even more powerful is seeing how solutions created by and for Black women are elevating the entire beauty industry. So let's look ahead at what comes next. Before we get into our next segment, I want to take a quick 45-second break. All right, welcome back. For our final segment, I want us to look forward. The key question here is, how can we create sustainable pathways for more women of color in beauty tech? Now, Allie, we'll start with you. I feel like that's a perfect place to start. Mentorship seems central to your work. Can you start us off by discussing mentorship and knowledge sharing approaches that actually work?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Mentorship is so important. I think a great example was Chaska's story. Like, that is incredible. And it's about really finding a way to connect with another human being that has the experiences that you want to experience yourself, and really building a relationship. And, like I was saying earlier, there's been a big influx of women into the space that are more junior and are looking for mentorship. And so for us, a way to, create mentorship pathways that are sustainable is our sister circles. So we are essentially creating peer mentorship. We believe that you don't have to be, in a leadership position to provide mentorship and to be a mentor and to be mentored. And so it's more of a circular program where, we're matching women based on their career interests, but across levels. So, in a mentorship group, we'll have women who are junior, we'll have women who are mid-level, senior level, and leadership level. And it's circular mentorship where they're learning from each other's experiences, they're learning from each other's networks. And, the person who's mid-level can mentor the junior level person, and the person who's senior level can mentor the mid-level person, and so on and so forth. But also, there can be reverse mentorship in that scenario as well, right? Where someone who's at a leadership level can learn how to be a better leader by being around a group of women who are coming up after her. And so, I think that we've had a one-to-one mentorship program in the past, and sometimes that can feel too formal, too much pressure. And so we believe that this approach is a better way to do it, because again, there's also not enough senior level Black women in tech to mentor all the junior level people. And so really being able to match people based on again their career interests and their level is the approach that we're taking. And we also believe that like women just want to rub elbows with each other. We've done a lot of UX research. We've done a lot of surveying and talking to our community. And what it comes down to time and time again is that, women are joining Baddies in Tech because they want to connect with like-minded individuals. We conducted a survey and we asked our community, like, why did you join Baddies in Tech? And we had a few options. We had, learn a new tech skill, get a tech job, get help for your entrepreneurial venture. And we had connect with like-minded individuals. And we only let them choose one because we wanted to know what was most important to them. And 50% of people who took that survey chose connect with like-minded individuals. And so that's just like such a testament to the fact that like we just want each other. We just want to see each other in this space. We want to be able to pick each other's brains. We want to be friends with each other. We want to paint and sip with each other. We want to learn together. And so that's like the value that Baddies in Tech really brings to our community. And so being able to really strengthen those network effects through our sister circles is something that we're really excited to launch later this year. And so, yeah, it's exciting. And it's, I think that's the value that people get out of being a part of Baddies in Tech, because, I might be the only Black woman software engineer on my team, but at the next company on the next team, there's another one. So how do we really bring those people together to make sure that they're connecting and are building friendships and are supporting each other's career growth?
Amazing. It reminds me of something that I believe, but also something that I recall Issa Rae saying at Afrotech, how she says, don't discount the power of networking laterally.
Yeah.
It's not always about trying to find someone who's doing better than you, but often about someone who's is just as ambitious and trying to do the same things.
Exactly. Yeah, it's that accountability buddy mindset. Mm-hmm. Like, let's do this thing together.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Dawn, you've navigated a path from law to beauty tech. What advice would you give women coming from non-traditional backgrounds who want to enter this space?
Yeah. This space, like so many others, is common sense, right? When people hear lawyer, they get really intimidated. Oh, I don't know how to do that. You know how to do everything a lawyer knows how to do, right? There's not a whole lot that you get in law school that you can't Google and figure out how to do. Engineering is a little bit more complicated, right? However, the goal is figuring out how to manage and bring people into your orbit who can do the things that you absolutely can't, right? So for the vast majority of the functions, I think in any business, you are capable of doing at least the early years work of execution to get that thing done. And then to the extent that there are pieces of the puzzle that you have to employ other expertise for, that's also a matter of stepping into your role as a founder, right? Becoming the visionary and being able to persuasively bring the people and the resources into your orbit that you need to get your thing to grow. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when we're considering investment strategies and recommendations for the next generation of beauty tech founders, I do have a few thoughts, but of course, I would love for each of you to weigh in on this. But for the next generation of beauty tech founders, I would recommend a strategic mix of funding sources, starting with non-dilutive capital like grants and accelerator programs to minimize equity loss. Then building strong corporate partnerships to secure strategic investments and distribution opportunities. Finally, maybe focusing on scalable revenue models early to attract VC funding in favorable terms. Dawn, you actually spoke about that earlier, about having it at a certain point before investors would even touch it. And I think that lends itself to that too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, we didn't have revenues. We had traction. We had press. We had pre-sales. We had things like that. But we didn't have repeatable revenues at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to go back and do it again, so if I were to go back and do it again, I would have built a smaller, less ambitious product, to be perfectly honest, right? It would have been simple liquid products, right? Learn how to put a marketing flywheel together, learn how to build an audience, learn how to do all those things with something that's really low cost to entry, low barrier to entry. And then once that gives you a little bit of leverage when you go to investors and say, hey, I want to do this thing, right? You have a company under your belt. You have some experience under your belt. You've learned how to speak the language, right? And all of that matters and helps you be able to secure that investment a lot faster. And then once you get that investment, you know how to use it, right? You've already built the flywheel. You already know how to get the attention and get the revenues. So if I were to do it again, I definitely do it in that way. But I agree. Getting revenues is always the best investment.
Also, like Khadija mentioned earlier, prioritizing investors who understand both the tech and the beauty consumer behavior to ensure that long-term growth and sustainability. Like, I'm still laughing to myself thinking about how you have your team members go to the salon
They
and
do.
experience hair braiding.
Actually, I wanted to share a picture, but I don't know how to do that yet. Of my, let me try to do that. But yes, we go to the hair salon and have hairstylists teach those students. You can see here.
Yes.
This is me and my team at a hair salon in Berkeley, trying our product. So it's really powerful, and that's just what Dawn say. You don't need to be an engineer per se to find a solution to your own problems. Engineering skills are very useful, and I'm glad I can apply some of the skills that I've learned. But the ideas are born out of you get those ideas from your own pain points, I believe. So for me, I think one of the biggest challenges, I will say, will come from lack of confidence. So even myself, I had so many people tell me that a robot that braids, that's nonsense. That's never gonna work. That's too difficult. Like all of the above and more. Even people in my inner circle saying that's just not possible, or but like really having the vision, and also being humble and ask for help is very important. So I think just tell people that anyone can have great ideas. Anyone can go find the help they need. Like as Dawn was saying, it's a puzzle. You can't do it all. You have to find and lean on others. So that's a very important step. And I forgot the other question you mentioned. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Your response was perfect. I'd actually like each of you to share one bold prediction about the future of beauty tech in the next 5 years, particularly as it relates to diversity and how innovations from Black women will continue to transform the industry for everyone. Dawn, let's start with you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my predictions aren't particularly positive. It's really kind of a cautionary, right? I think unless we collectively really dig into investing into IP and strategically protecting our companies, and also learning to sell at an unfairly high great, right? Learning how to build an audience and hacking growth. We are going to lose our innovations to larger companies that can move faster, that can do what we're doing because they have a larger budget and they can copy. Once we've put in all the sweat equity to build our things, they can copy our things pretty quickly. I've already seen it happen. There's a very large brand that, before I started this company, I started another smaller kind of hair tech company with a very simple kind of innovation. And, I pitched it to bigger companies and they took it right off my hands, right? And at the time, I didn't have the money or the knowledge to be able to adequately protect via brand and via strategy. And so I think, listen, particularly those of us in the consumer tech space, we've got to tighten up. And we've got to stop waiting to do things the way that the majority facing founders in our space do it. We may not have millions of dollars to invest into marketing to buy meta ads, right? So we're going to have to figure out how to get the growth faster on our own, because without that growth, without those eyeballs, without customers who are solidifying and kind of validating what you've built, you lose. You lose. What protects you, we can have IP. In fact, IP is foundational, but ultimately what protects your company is brand, is eyeballs, is a customer base, right? And until we learn the foundational skills that other founders get to kind of skirt past, other founders don't necessarily have to learn how to sell effectively because they've got the investment to go into to use meta ads and to get the sales that way, right? We've got to learn how to do things more efficiently. We've got to learn how to do them faster. And if we don't learn those skills, if we don't pour into learning those skills, these larger companies are going to steal our innovations right from under our noses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's true, because that's what happened to me. Before I could have been first to market, I signed 2 exclusive licensing deals, and they ended up getting canceled. I wasted 2 years thinking that my product was going to be on the shelves, and then before I knew it, all these major brands it's almost like they collaborated and started releasing them. Like, oh, I'm going to release mine in January, and then you release yours in March, and then it was unbelievable how fast it happened. Yep. And so as a Black woman, I now have to, come out stronger because I have major competitors who are already battle tested. When you have somebody who, Dyson is the gold standard, how many people are going to be willing to try Shaska? They don't know who I am. So I have to really, like Dawn said, it's like pushing it on social media, trying to tell your story. The other thing I would like to point out too is we've seen a lot of success stories now, turning into cautionary tales, like with Miel. I was, sad to see what happened with her product, because now they're saying that they believe she changed the formula, and she can say until she's blue in the face it's the same formula. Once that is out there, you can't take it back, and people will always be skeptical. And how Dawn was talking about shedding and the cycles of your hair. A lot of people don't understand that. And sometimes somebody can blame your product, and it could be that, oh, it's my hormones, I just had a baby, or, oh, I'm stressed, but Miel has to fight against that. And so money that should be going towards marketing is now going towards, a PR nightmare that you didn't see coming. So that's been what I've seen, a lot of negativity. And I just want to encourage women to stick together. Don't be so quick to judge, and don't be so quick to believe everything that you read. And then now you're on the comments and you're repeating something that's not true, but you may not mean to say, repeat a mistruth, but you are. So I just want to say, be careful about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think piggybacking off of Dawn's point, I think from the innovation standpoint, if Dawn's prediction goes the opposite way and we do learn the skills and we do build scalable businesses, then I think, as long as we have more companies that are women founded that have funding or either have funding or have revenue and can hire the technical expertise that they need to continue scaling and innovating, then there will be more women of color, more Black women that have the technical expertise to be hired and to innovate in this space. Because at the end of the day, tell a Black woman with tech expertise that, you can build a beauty product that's going to revolutionize how we do our hair, and they'll jump on that opportunity, right? Because again, it's something that they care about. It's something that they utilize in their day-to-day, and it's something that's core and central to their identities. So I think that, we will have the technical expertise to continue building if we can get to a point where our companies are scalable, our companies have the revenue to hire or have the backing to hire. And it does take just us as a community learning how to build better, more resilient businesses, because at the end of the day, unfortunately, not a lot of people are coming to rescue us and and just let up a little, right? Because at the end of the day, we're doing the things, but we have the same, if not better, knowledge than white founders, but we're held to a much, much higher standard, which is unfortunate. So yeah, that's the one thing. And then I think the other thing is that beauty tech is going to become, from a consumer perspective, beauty tech is going to become ubiquitous. I think we're going to have it in our spaces. I think all of us are going to be using Myavana when we start our healthy hair journeys. We're going to have our hair ID. We're going to know what specific products we need to be using in order to get to our specific goals. And we're going to have ritualists. We're going to have Shaska stylers. We're going to have the things to really help us get to a better place with our hair. And it's going to be something that's not, revolutionary, but it's going to really integrate into our lives by, I think, 2030. So yeah, I'm excited for that day. And I think, to Dawn's point, it really takes companies like y'all being able to survive and get there and grow and scale for us to be able to have these, innovations in our homes. So I'm excited and I'm hopeful that that is the case.
Yeah, so I also am very positive and very hopeful for the future. I think the future is bright, and yes, and we are building already right here the community, and I think that's super important. Seeing all of you today is such a blessing already. So let's do that more. Let's build a community. We need each other, and so we know our problems, and we are developing the solution for our problems. That's really, really important. And second, I see the future of hair or beauty as a very conscious. We are becoming more and more conscious, more and more educated, and our beauty practice and rituals have to reflect that. And we have to understand, go back to our roots actually, to understand what we used to do. Right now, we are using a lot of products that contain lead, it's just leaked out, our
The braiding hair.
braiding hair contains chemicals. We didn't know where they were made. We buy them from but thankfully Ribondo or Nuri Hair are changing that narrative. Changing that narrative. We have to have that community, and we have to have that education that there are certain things that are not good for us, and we can build upon that. So let's support each other, and let's keep learning and increase our skills, and just keep dreaming very big.
That's beautiful. I'd like to interject with a more positive view of the future. It's tough out here. So, a little cynicism is warranted. However, one of the things that I'm really looking forward to is, listen, we talk a lot about investors. We talk about how it's really difficult to get capital, but investors are only half of the problem, right? Once you get the investors on board, you got to get the customers on board. And one of the things that's been really tough is how tough Black women are on other Black women, and particularly for the ladies in this room, right? Our customers, because we're building tech for textured hair, our customers are Black women. And so we're in between a rock and a hard place, because when we push our technologies to the majority or majority facing communities, then we get a backlash from our people. But our people aren't willing to support us from the beginning. So it becomes really difficult. But what I'm seeing is, over the past maybe 5 years, really since Richelieu Dennis's acquisition by Unilever, right? We've had a lot of Black women who are starting to really think about this space and how it works. Now, they're not particularly always super erudite about this space and how it works, right? So they get really frustrated when they see a company get acquired by a bigger company, because they don't understand the mechanics of these small companies and how badly we need that support and capital.
Yes.
They can be hyper critical and expect Amazon level delivery from you when we don't have Amazon delivery resources. But what I really like to see, and what I'm really hopeful that this political moment does for us, as we try to band together, as we try to think strategically about how we support our own and keep Tulsa from burning again, my hope is that Black women consumers in particular will take that interest and really start to refine it, and really start to understand the inner workings of these small businesses, what our needs are, how to have grace for Black business owners, how to support Black business owners early in their journey, rather than waiting until you're the size of a L'Oreal before they'll trust in you. So that is a hopeful prediction. And we're entrepreneurs. We've got to find the silver linings amidst the hellscape sometimes. And right now, I think politically that this qualifies. And I think that silver lining is a lot of Black consumers who are looking for ways to support, and who are looking to understand the economics of kind of business building more deeply.
Oh,
Absolutely.
that was beautiful.
Beautifully said.
And I just would like to say that, Cole, thank you, because you've really put together a stellar panel. I mean, everybody is represented. So, I would also like to encourage Black women. We're always saying piggybacking on Dawn, but, let's let our sisters express themselves the way they want to. If they want to be curly, let them be curly. If they want to be straight, if they want to be braided. I mean, that's the beauty of our hair. It's so versatile. I mean, let's not be so judgmental and, come down on people because you believe that you shouldn't do this to your hair. Silicone's bad, oil's bad. It's just like, I was ready to pull my hair out. Like I got to the place where I didn't know what to buy, what shampoo, what was true, what wasn't. And I think that Maya Vana, I mean, for her to come up with a tool and she can tell you what your specific needs are. I mean, come on, game over.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's celebrate our versatility. Let's celebrate our hair and
Yeah, in Candace's absence, can we take a moment just to hype her up? What Candace is doing in this space is wild. And I don't think people, you talk about it just on a Zoom, I don't think people can really understand. It's crazy.
It's a very big vision, very big.
It's a big vision. There's more, I'm sure, that she's trying to build, but just what she's built right now, the technology she has right now is a game changer for those of us. I was just talking to my best girlfriend today, and we were talking about how we're so annoyed because we can't get the length that we want. We need to nourish our scalps. We got to figure out what products we need. We got to figure out what's going on, right? It's right here. And there's millions of Black women literally in this moment having that exact same conversation with themselves or with their girlfriends, right?
Absolutely.
AI, and here's the thing. One of the other things is this is a sophisticated space. When we talk about textured hair care, investors, customers as well, other businesses, they think that this is a game. They think that it's kids play. They think that, oh, whatever, some little girl is mixing up some ingredients in her kitchen, right? No shade to the people who are mixing up ingredients in their kitchen, because that's big business too. But the point I'm trying to make is there are billions of dollars being spent on just in the US. When we think about the diaspora, billions and billions more, right? Mintel puts the global kind of textured hair care market at $500 billion, right? Which should not surprise us when we have an entire continent that is obsessed with hair. For whom hair is a deep part of our culture and tradition, right? So the point I'm making is that this is big business, and hopefully in the coming years, what we'll see is people start to give it the merit that it deserves. This is at least as meritorious as the other big beauty tech brands that are majority facing, that are getting tens of millions of dollars in investment that we are doing without. Right. So my prediction / hope for, the coming years is that people will start to understand as we grow, as we start to make money, and as we start to break through, investors, potential business partners, larger businesses, they'll start to attach the sophistication that these innovations deserve.
Yes.
Absolutely. And like you said, Dawn, this is just like the space alone is just an investment that cannot be ignored. Because one thing that's missing currently in the beauty industry is that the majority doesn't know how to speak to us directly, especially when it comes to things as intimate as our hair and that hair journey. And so I think that if I'm to give any prediction, I think that beauty tech, especially with Black women leading the head, will continue to thrive because we know the pain points. We have the empathy to create those things that we have been missing all along.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Collie.
No, this was amazing. Thank you all for these powerful insights. What we've heard tonight reinforces something I deeply believe, that when Black women innovate to solve problems in our community, those solutions ultimately elevate entire industries. Each of you has identified a gap through your lived experience and created technology that not only serves your community, but has the power to transform beauty for everyone. For our viewers, we'll be sharing follow-up content from tonight's discussion on all Myavana social platforms. You can also continue in conversations around beauty, healthy hair, and tech by downloading the Myavana app. And a quick announcement, the Beauty Tech Summit will be back at Georgia Tech again this year on June 14th. So stay tuned for more details on that. If you're inspired by what you heard tonight and want to support these incredible founders, please follow them on social media, consider purchasing their products, sharing their work, and if you're in a position to do so, invest in Black women-led beauty tech. To our brilliant panelists, Dawn, Khadija, Shaska, and Ali, thank you so much for sharing your time, wisdom, and inspiration with us tonight. You are truly making history, and we're honored to amplify your stories.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Join us next month for another virtual hair club panel. And until then, I'm Cole Woods, and you have been a welcomed guest in the Myavana living room. Good night.
Woo!
Bye, ladies.
Hi, guys.
Everyone.
Our